Love's beautiful, but let's be real, it's not always easy. It can bring out our deepest fears, our strongest desires, and sometimes our most confusing patterns. Welcome to Love Better, a space for honest, soul-deep conversations about relationships, attachments, and what it really means to love and be loved. I am Shazmeen, and if you've ever questioned why love feels so complicated, you are not alone. Let's unpack this together. What do you do when you're in a relationship with somebody that is literally emotionally not available? What do you do when you look at that relationship and you deeply love this person and you don't want to lose this relationship and you want to fight for the relationship? And what do you do when you've been with somebody and this relationship was never like that in the beginning? When you met this person, it was effortless, it was beautiful, it was easy. They text you, they wanted to be with you all the time. They made the biggest effort to be around you. You hardly had to do anything, and there you felt loved and you felt seen, and you could talk to this person so freely. You were able to be so vulnerable, and they were meeting you back with vulnerability, and they would open up to you. They would talk to you about things. They would tell you how they've never been this way in another relationship before, and it would just leave you feeling like you're the most special person, that this person can finally be something they could never be before, but they can with you. And you feel the same, that you can open up and love on this person. But what do you do now when you're in this long-term relationship with somebody and you love them and you want to stay with them, but they're showing you that they have a capacity that they're not able to go beyond? Do you stay in this relationship and keep trying? Because we're in a day and age now where social media can make your relationship feel like if this is getting too hard or this person's just not willing to work on this relationship with you, you should walk away. You deserve better. But I really think there's a complexity to relationships. They're extremely unique in very different ways. Not one story or one massive suggestion will suit every single relationship, because every single relationship's going through different seasons and experiencing different challenges. So we don't have these 5 great tips to make your relationship work, because it might be the wrong time to use those 5 great tips. And it might work for some couples, but other couples in the winter season of their relationship, those 5 tips wouldn't really work. But what do you do when you really want to hold on to this relationship and you want to make this relationship better? There's a beautiful essence to this person. You have a deep love for them. You see them fully. You've seen them, but now they close up, and now they pull away, and now it gets harder to love them. It gets harder to reach them. Well, there are 2 ways of looking at the situation. The first way is, if you're dating somebody that was wonderful in the romance stage, because that's what the relationship's supposed to be. It's full of serotonin and oxytocin and dopamine, and it takes you on a high, and nature just has a way of making you feel like, oh my God, I found the person of my dreams. And any red flags or anything that would annoy you later on in the relationship, you cannot see it. To you, you only see this person and they see you in the most profound light. What happens when that kind of a person stops texting you and doesn't want to be available anymore? Well, when you're in the dating stage of a relationship, it's very simple. You learn to put yourself first and you learn to walk away. You literally do learn to listen to the signs and the actions this person's telling you, because they're giving you what the rest of your life with them could look like. They are showing you that they have the capacity to love, but they also don't have the capacity to maintain that kind of consistency that you need to grow a long-term relationship. to be in a long-term relationship, because long-term relationships get challenged in ways you cannot believe. And it takes the maturity and the love and the communication and the dedication and the effort and the passion and the warmth to be able to make a long-term relationship work, amongst so much more. So when you're dating somebody who's already showing you that they don't have the capacity to love you beyond 1 day a week when they're free, listen to them. And a lot of the times people end up in this situation where they're dating this person, and when they do finally spend time with this person, it's amazing. They feel connected. They feel loved. If you get physical with them, that confuses you emotionally even more, because now you feel even more attached, especially if you're anxiously attached as a lover. And you can get hooked on, when we are together, it's great. And the rest of the time, they're just busy or they don't respond. But when we are together, it's great. So I need to now convince them on what this relationship could look like for the rest of our lives, if they give me a chance to show them that when we spend these few days a week together, how incredible it is. I now need to show you that that could be the rest of our lives. That could be every day. I'm going to be the person that breaks down your walls and convinces you and changes you to be what you show me occasionally when you have the strength and the availability to show me. And if you're anxiously attached people sort of take this on as their mission, their project, their ability to see that I can rescue this person from their pain. I can rescue this person from the deep walls that they've put themselves in. I will be the person to break this person's walls down, and I will show them that they can love and be safe with me. And that can get exhausting, because you very much could reach your partner who can start to feel very safe. But when they do clam up and they disappear and you're still in the dating phase, it's much easier for you to be able to make a decision on, do you want to play this tough game? Or do you know what you want in a relationship from someone mentally, emotionally, physically, and spiritually? Do you truly know what you want from somebody? Have you ever taken the time to write down what you want in a partner? And then have you ever taken the time down to write down what you could give a partner mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically in a relationship? And a lot of times when people pause chasing an unavailable partner in the dating phase and start to realize they want so much more from their partner than what they're able to give, they can pause and redirect their love back to themselves to be able to recognize, I don't want to date a project. I don't want to date the potential. When we spend Mondays and Fridays together, it's amazing. I don't want to convince someone that Tuesdays, Wednesdays, Thursdays, Saturday, and Sunday could be as amazing. They're not committed to having the capacity to be present for you on those days. They're already telling you they have a shortfall. And we need to be able to do the hard thing in a relationship when you're dating, to be able to recognize, if I want to spend the rest of my life with somebody and dating them's already going to be this difficult with their lack of emotional availability, their physical presence, their ability to commit deeply into creating a long-term relationship, then this might not just be where I need to put my energy. I need to put my energy and focus on the fact that this relationship showing me that I have core wounds of abandonment, and that's why I'm chasing this person. That abandonment makes me feel like I'm not worthy. And so I'm trying to convince this person that I am. If they could just spend every single day with me during the week, they will see how worthy I am of breaking down those walls and being the lover that I see they have the potential to be. But then, like I mentioned earlier, there's the complication of, what do we do when we're in a long-term relationship now with somebody And we're starting to get the knowledge and understand at this point in our lives, our partner is not physically available to us sexually. They're not emotionally available to us. They could be financially available, meaning they provide very well financially, but they know that that's the best they can give because they do know they have shortcomings. What do you do when you're in this long-term relationship? You've got children, you've got a life, you've got a mortgage, you've got relatives and family involved. How do you deal with digesting, I don't think my partner can give me more in this relationship? Do I walk away? Do I stay? But I love them. Can it work? Can it not work? And it's very different too when you have a chance to date. Because when you're dating and you're dating consciously, then you really should be very open to what your partner shows you, does not show you, who you get to be in that relationship, how you show up in that relationship, the communication, safety, and trust that's building in the beginning of dating. And if it's not, then it's very clear for some people on what they need to be able to do. But when you're in this long-term relationship, there's this confusion on, has life just happened? Did we just forget each other 2 children down the line, and all the changes in moving countries or our jobs or our careers in different directions, and maybe moving into a long distance relationship for a while, and the complexities that come with a long-term relationship, and then one person realizing that they're extremely lonely, that they're in a relationship with somebody that they deeply, deeply love, but they're also madly in love with who they were as a couple in the beginning. And what do you do when you realize, I still want to be with this person, but I don't know where this relationship's going? They won't emotionally open up. They've closed. They've shut down, they stonewall, there's more silent treatment, you experience contempt. Every attempt to want to talk to them, to build connection, to sexually connect with them, to physically touch, even in hand holding and hugs and gentle kisses during the day, is not something that's present in that relationship. What happens when life has taken a toll on that relationship and you both realize, or one of you realizes, I'm so lonely, I'm hurting, and my partner just won't fulfill me. They won't fulfill the basic needs that I have, the basic emotional needs where I have somebody that I can speak to, I can talk to. They're my person that I can go to with thoughts. And bringing that back is they feel the same with me. They can talk to me, they can open up with me. And I know some of you might be listening thinking, well, I'm always there. I'm always telling them they can talk to me, they can come to me with issues, but the problem in our relationship is now that they just don't. And you're looking at the essence of, there's that communication, that safety that's still there. This person's emotionally available to you, or you're emotionally available to them. But when they're no longer in that space with you, what do you do? Do you walk out? Do you stay? Do you stay for the children? Do you stay because of society and culture? Do you stay because it's easier financially? Do you stay because you financially cannot leave? Do you stay because you've never thought of what life could be like if you're not in a relationship with this person? And it's not only because they're emotionally not available. It's because so much in the relationship you're starting to realize hasn't really been there. What happens to the couples that got together in the beginning but never really invested in those relationships? You had the chemistry that brought you together, and then you had culture or the normal movement of a relationship that meant, well, now we've been together and it seems to be okay, it seems to work, and we just settle down and, in this long-term relationship where we end up getting married. And we just followed the course of life. But now with the knowledge out there, you're starting to recognize, marriage is not just supposed to have been beautiful, amazing, and wonderful in the beginning. And like our parents and grandparents and their grandparents and everyone just stayed. They took the course of, right, yeah, love's beautiful in the beginning, and then you settle down and you have a career and you have children and it's going to change. And then it just develops into tolerating each other and living with each other, because what else do you do? In those generations, you do not leave. You don't know that you deserve more. There wasn't a need in those generations for and me, and I want more, and I feel I deserve more, and I want to give more. So I come across and work with a lot of people that say, I'm in this long-term relationship. Can I boost it? Can I make this relationship work? And if you do absolutely love this person, the first thing I'm going to tell you is, before you ever consider leaving a relationship, unless there's clear signs of emotional abuse, clear signs of verbal abuse, clear signs of constant betrayal and cheating, then that's absolutely a given to why you should not be in a relationship like that, because it's just not healthy for you or the children or the people around you. But if you're just with a partner that's shut down, or life's taken a toll on your relationship, then I would turn around and challenge you. And I would say, have we focused a lot more on what they can give us and who they're not? And have we stayed in the trap of noticing everything that's wrong with that relationship, and everything they do now just irritates you? And maybe the reset needs to be you, because it takes a lot of courage and leadership to change the course of a relationship. Now, I want you to listen to me. Changing the course of a relationship, when you become the captain of it, and you say, I'm going to show up and love my partner in the ways that they deserve, in the ways that I feel love should be given. I'm going to talk to my partner and courageously say, I think we need more time on our own. I think we need more time physically. I actually think we need to be scheduling in more sex. I actually think I'm going to get curious to what you even want. What are your craziest fantasies? What have we forgotten about our relationship? When did we stop talking and taking an interest in each other? And I'm going to start with taking that lead. I'm going to start taking an interest in dating you again, in loving you, in getting to discover you again. Because we've gone through this long-term relationship and different parts of us died, different parts of those marriages died, different parts were born. We unskillfully could have shown up to those parts where we were hurting each other, and nobody gave us a manual on how to work a long-term relationship. But I'm feeling lonely. And if I'm feeling lonely, there are chances that my partner's feeling lonely too. And very often we look at what we need and what we deserve in a relationship. But I would never tell someone to walk away until they give their partner what they deserve too. They sit down and ask their partner, what are your needs? Especially with somebody that's avoidantly attached. Avoidantly attached people never ever pause to think about what they need in a relationship. I mean, for them, that's just not where they go, let alone think about what you need. They think about giving you in the simplest, easiest way because that's safe. But if you're questioning your relationship, I would say, what could you start doing that would bring some depth to that relationship? What conversations do you feel need to be had, including some serious ones on, I'm really feeling lonely, and I know that that was never your intention for me in this relationship. And my curiosity is, do you feel the same? And if you're feeling that your needs are not being met and I'm feeling my needs are not being met, are we on the same page to turn this relationship around? And that's being said with the maturity of understanding there are times in a relationship one person will have to hold the baby, sometimes a little longer than the other person. But that's with the understanding and the trust that the other person's not taking that for granted. The other person's not there milking the situation, that they are in a relationship with a giver. And a giver will keep giving. You want to be with someone that gives too, so that you can freely take from the relationship as well, because that's where the beautiful juice is. It's in giving this person the deepest, most beautiful parts of you, but also in the pleasure of being able to take in that relationship in deep, beautiful ways as well. And that comes down from you feeling worthy of taking in a relationship, not just giving. Worthy to receive, worthy to be seen in that relationship, worthy for someone to do for you without you feeling you have to work hard to deserve and earn that. So what could you start doing today that you feel could start changing the momentum and movement of your relationship? Who could you start showing up as? Who did you stop showing up as because the relationship's hurting you and you're feeling wounded and hurt? And now I'm talking more to people that are on a more healthy side of relationship, but healthy also being the relationship's died down. It's dull. This is not what could you start doing because you're with somebody that's verbally abusive, physically abusive, and you want to give more to change that. That's a completely different conversation. I'm talking about two people even anxiously and avoidantly attached that need to heal and move that relationship into better communication, into being able to hold space for each other in the ways both people need to be seen, in respecting where the other person is, in getting curious with what your partner needs from you again, in getting curious with their behavior, getting curious about them shutting down, getting curious about what's going on in their world, in their heart, in their mind, and then leading from your heart to say, I want my partner to know that I love them. And how can I show it to them in their value system? How can I show it to them mentally? How can I show it to them verbally? How can I show it to them spiritually? How can I show it to them physically? How can I love on them in a way that they truly want to be loved? And that takes courageous vulnerability. Because you have to remember one thing. In a relationship, there's no guarantee that when you are ready to give and change your relationship or infuse connection and warmth and communication and create more safety and trust in that relationship, that the other person is ready to receive or ready to be on the same journey with you. Sometimes they're just in a space and time in their lives where they're just not able to do that. But if you are with someone who emotionally wants to grow with you, then they will take you on. Then they will say, let's do this together. And there might be times that I fall short and there'll be times you fall short, but the point of this relationship is we've got each other. The point of this relationship is you should feel safe at all times to be vulnerable, and when you don't, then you could question the wounds within you that are creating that, and we will question the relationship altogether that could be creating that insecurity and uncertainty. But our love and connection should be something that both of us feel at all times is a priority. I love what Tony Robbins says. Tony Robbins says that if you can make your partner your raving fan, they will never want to leave. They will always be the person that wants to stand by you. And how do you get a raving fan? By becoming a partner they want to be with, which means you just get to step into your light. You're not being anything that you don't want to be. This is not about being a people pleaser partner. This is about stepping into the power of vulnerability and courageous love, to love on your partner in a way that they absolutely deserve, and pausing and stopping to think about what do they deserve, because I've been so focused on me. And I've shut down in the relationship because I'm not vulnerable enough to discuss it and talk about it. And now, obviously, there's some people thinking, but I do that. And my partner doesn't meet me back and emotionally shuts down. And literally just, we're in a place in our relationship where I'm doing all the work and the relationship's together because of me. Well, then that clearly is showing you where the relationship is. And it takes time to be able to recognize through multiple conversations if your partner is willing to meet you and show up to give back into that relationship or not. And if they're not, then a lot of the times you clearly know what you do. But when I said that it takes a lot of courage for the captain to change the course of the relationship, it's changing the course of the relationship in two ways. You either change that course of the relationship with the other person's inspired to join you, because all you're doing now is being who your secure self is. Your secure self shows up to a relationship vulnerably, communicates, is confident, feels safe to be in the relationships, feels safe to voice what you want, can hold space for the other person, can be willing to give, can respect the other person's boundaries, can respect the other person's need for their autonomy and space. So you start to show up as somebody extremely secure. And you will inspire your partner to want to give back and join in on that relationship. Or you change the course of the relationship by recognizing you with a partner that could absolutely love you, but truly doesn't have the capacity to give back because maybe they're just not willing to work on those wounds. Maybe they're not willing to heal. Maybe they're not willing to do the hard work. And maybe they just like the relationship the way it is. Whereas in your giving, the relationship's easy. They don't have to do much. They don't invest sexually. They don't invest emotionally. They tap in when they feel they have the strength. They financially provide. They feel that's love. And in a way, we have to be able to understand when we have partners like that, it's because that's how they grew up. They grew up either being told they had to be providers, and if you're men, then you had to be providers financially. And if you're women, then you had to be providers with being a great mom and being the cook and the chef and the nurse and the person that held the family together. You had to provide in that way. But now we've stepped into a generation that's like, I want so much more from this relationship, but this person shouldn't be your everything. You're not supposed to come into that relationship so needy that without them fulfilling everything and exhausting them to do that, you're a nothing. You come into that relationship with self-worth and dignity and beautiful weaknesses, because that's the point of a relationship. You come into that relationship half, not completed, and not striving to be perfect, but wanting to enjoy the course of that relationship. The ups and the downs, and the point of it being we do it together, present to each other, open to talk, open to seeing what went wrong, open to experiencing each other's moods, open to experiencing each other's moods in life with their boss, with work, with whatever comes at them. But you're with somebody that wants to do life with you. So if you're sitting there feeling, I'm lonely and I love my partner and I don't know what to do, then I would say you need to step into courageously, vulnerably trying again. Not just walking out, because that could be easier. And also not staying because that's easier. But really having some really hard conversations and asking your partner, are you happy? Do I make you happy? What else could I do? How else could I serve you? What else do you need? What phase in your life are you at? How can I show up better for you? How can I love in you even more? With the amount of relationship advice out there right now on Walkaway, I think it's really beautiful that you want to create something beautiful again. And I want you to know that it's never too late to create something beautiful. And you're not crazy for wanting more. You're not weak for staying in a relationship and really trying with this person, but on condition that they want to try back. That's what's the most important thing. So even if you've ever looked at your partner and you've thought, oh my God, I love you, but I don't know how to reach you anymore, then this was definitely the episode for you. Because you have to understand, it's not about going back to what the relationship was. It's truly about building something absolutely new with your partner, and knowing that you're not doing that alone. You're doing it with somebody that you love and care about, and understanding emotional distance does build over time. Life, stress, trauma, miscommunication, disconnection, parenting, the spark going. This is all normal in long-term relationships. But when we choose that we don't want the relationship to die, that's where the win comes in. That's the turning point in your relationship. Because if you're still here, it means there's something sacred between the two of you. And it's just now about how to rebuild it, not perfectly, but intentionally, consciously rebuilding that relationship. So I want you to consider looking at being able to also tell the truth without blame. So talking honestly, soft telling the truth. Soft meaning knowing that when you're having this conversation, being very clear that I don't want to make my partner defensive or criticize. So I'm not going to come into the relationship with blaming them about anything. It's about, I feel far from you, not you never show up from me. Because that emotional, vulnerable communication will talk about experience, and when we blame and criticize, we talk from ego and logic, because that keeps us safe from getting hurt. So if you want to be able to build a relationship, you've got to be able to talk about what's really hurting you in a way that pulls your partner in and they can listen. And I want you to remember that anything hurtful that's happened to you in your relationship is never from an intention that that's what your partner wanted to cause you. It just ends up showing up in our attachment styles and the limitations sometimes in which we are just not taught how to love perfectly. And they show up, those wounds show up, and the old way of loving from a safe distance shows up. So being very honest in a way that doesn't leave them defensive. You also want to be able to get more curious, like I was talking about earlier. Like, what's been hardest for you lately? What do you wish I understood more? How can I satisfy you more? Are you happy with our sex life? Would you like to do things that you haven't done in a long time? Getting very curious with where your partner is emotionally, mentally, physically, and spiritually, and what they're wanting out of the relationship as well. And then you want to rebuild emotional safety again. And trust me, it's not sexy, but it's foundational. It's not sexy to do hard work in a relationship, but you're both laying the foundation, doing little things that really matter, that make the other person feel like they're truly being seen. Because you cannot fix a relationship that you don't feel safe in. And if you're not feeling safe, are there chances that your partner is not feeling safe as well? So you can do that by slowly showing them that we can build emotional safety by guiding them to understand, I don't want you to always fix everything and solve everything. Sometimes I want you to just listen and be curious with me. So guide them around your needs. Guide them around what you want. Handhold them through how that works for you, which means you have to be very vulnerable with yourself on what you actually want out of that relationship as well. You have to be very vulnerable with what your needs are, and then be very clear about, how could those be met? How can they be met by my partner? How can they be met by friends? How can they be met by myself? And what are foundational needs that only my partner can meet? And all the other needs I can take care of myself as well. So rebuilding these beautiful emotional safety and doing it as a team. When was the last time you both felt like a team? And then asking your partner questions like, what makes you feel emotionally safe with me? So it's about both of you doing less fixing and sitting more with. And then summarizing everything else I was talking about was to create micro moments of that connection again. It's about bringing back the little rituals that you've taken for granted and altogether lost. The 2-minute hugs, the good morning kisses, the 5-minute walk, the no phones when we sit together at dinner, the calling during the day to check on the person, the texts, again, to just make sure the other person's okay, the little post-it notes, asking how your partner feels, letting them know that they're loved verbally, physically, in ways that makes them feel amazing. Because you have to remember that closeness is not built in grand gestures. It's built in ordinary moments that say, I still choose you. I choose you every day, in the ordinary, in the normalness of our lives, not in the romance phase of our relationship. The grand gesture I can give you is by saying, no matter where we are in our relationship, I still choose you. And then it's about committing to a brand new story together. So it's not about going back to the old relationship, but really building something beautiful and new together. Because you have to remember, in a relationship that's long-term, in a marriage, you're always about building something new. You're always about learning from an old chapter and then moving into a new chapter and taking what worked and what matters. So you're not about restarting what broke, but you're about co-creating something that's a new way of coming into that relationship. It's about naming, okay, what wasn't working for us? What can work for us now? How do we do that as a team? It's agreeing on new values, rituals, and conflict styles. It's about understanding the conflicts that you do have, the cycles that you do have, the loops that you have had, and then choosing together to be better. Being brave enough to be called out in the relationship from what you both agreed. And if one person's spiraling or reacting, to take the responsibility that this relationship deserves safety. It doesn't deserve the reactiveness of my attachment style. It deserves the response that comes from showing up better in this relationship so I can love my partner and create safety for them to open up and love me back. So you want to be thinking about, what kind of relationship are we trying to build now? Or what does beautiful love look like to us now? We knew what beautiful love looked like before children. We knew what it looked like when we were dating. Those hours we spent about what life would be like when we got married and how we couldn't wait to just be together all the time. And then we achieved that. So what does beautiful love look like now for us at this stage in our relationship? So on a final note, I would leave you here with, there's no going back, but there's always going forward. And if you choose each other again and again and again and again, then you really create safety and consistency to say, I found my person that I can do life with. And sometimes relationships didn't die. They just needed a new language, new care. They needed two people that were just willing to remember why they started, or one person that was courageous enough to say, wait a minute, I love you, and social media tells me that the minute I feel all these 10 things, the relationship's not working. And like I said, as long as it's not abusive, then you need to remember why you started and start again, because powerful love is not perfect. No one wants perfect, but it's brave enough to rebuild again. So I hope that wherever you are in your relationship season, and if you're really sitting there and you're hurting and you're feeling alone, at the beginning of this podcast, I hope that this particular episode's inspired you to be able to say, I really love my partner and I know they love me, and you know what? We're going to give this relationship a go. We're going to start doing things that make us both feel connected again. We're going to start making time for each other again. We're going to talk about what that looks like for each other, and then make the time during the week and every single day to reconnect and rebuild and re-inspire each other to be in a relationship again. And I know that there's so much out there on when a relationship's not working, but I really wanted to do an episode that gave hope to couples that are really in a dark season and feel like they don't know what to do, and is there a way forward? There's always a way forward when one person's courageous enough to lead with love and lead from the heart. And I would truly love to hear from you guys, or drop into the comments and tell me what's changed for you and any episodes that impacted you and just where your thoughts are, or if you're hurting in a different aspect of your life. And I could do a podcast that would not only help you but help others. And if you feel this podcast would inspire some of your friends or different couples you know, then please share, because I record these from my heart and my soul, and I'd always want them to reach the people that the energy is pulling for these episodes to reach. So thank you for joining me today, and I really hope that you are about to create and rebuild a beautiful segment and season of your relationships again. And it's always about loving better. Thank you for spending this time with me on Love Better. If this episode resonated with you, share it with someone who could use a little more love today. Don't forget to subscribe so we can keep growing together. You can find me on your socials, Instagram at Shazmeen Bank, TikTok at Shazmeen_bank. And I'd love to hear your thoughts and really connect with you more. Until next time, take care of your heart and remember you are worthy of love that truly feels like home.